It's time for Comeback Sports with Brandon, the Coach Perry, and Pat, the Shot Caller Flaherty. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Comeback Sports, your weekly opinionated sports show. Always like putting that in there, that it's an opinionated sports show, and we want to hear your opinions as well. So make sure you check us out weekly here on YouTube, Comeback Sports. Make sure you give us a sub here as well. But I like opening the show like a ringmaster with the ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when the shot caller's not here. And unfortunately, it's another week where unfortunately the shot caller can't make it tonight. He's out on an assignment, we'll say, for Comeback Sports. And he will be back with us next week. But we certainly miss Pat, the shot caller Flaherty. But tonight we're going to do a short show, the Coaches Special. The last Coaches Special was pretty good, so I'm sure we'll have fun tonight as well. Still 10 topics here. And hey, just like every week, if you want, you can give a call into the show tonight if you want and just talk to me. Maybe we can have our own topics that we decide. If you want to add in an 11th topic, we certainly can. Or you can join us in the live chat like you do weekly. I'm hoping that Ruzaman will jump in and make a couple of comments this week. I'm sure he will be. But all of our live fans, we really appreciate you. We appreciate everybody that checks out all of our clips weekly on the Comeback Sports page. But make sure you give us a subscribe and give us a like here so we can keep delivering this sports content for you weekly here. But let's dive into the topics tonight. Topic number one tonight is a sad one, to be honest, and it's R.I.P. Sir Frank Williams. Unfortunately, the founder of Williams F1 passed away this week at, I believe, the age of 89, which is, a long life. But, I mean, it's tough to, put a long life when he could have lived longer than that. So it's just tough to say a long life, I guess, at 89. But definitely a fulfilling life. We all know that. Anybody that knows the history of Williams F1 or Sir Frank himself, this guy is a legend in motorsport. And I say that, and I mean it, a legend in motorsport. And he's really, truly one of the founding fathers of Formula One. And the Formula One that we all love and know today is due and thanks to Sir Frank Williams. Really one of, like I said, the founding fathers of current Formula One. We all know Williams, with their rich history on the grid, has been on the grid for over 30 or 40 years, have won a ton of championships, not only constructors, but also drivers' championships. I know as of recently, so if you're new to F1, you probably think Williams is a team that is generally at the back of the grid. That's only been like that for the, few years, in the recent years that we've known Formula One. In many of the years past, Williams was up there at the front, fighting for championships and fighting for Formula One wins and Grand Prix wins on a weekly basis, led by Sir Frank Williams, the founder of the team and also the president of the team for many years. So, I just want to give a shout out to all the great drivers that they've had in all those years or two that they had up front. The great Nigel Mansell, the great Senna, who's also obviously a legend, Damon Hill, Valtteri Bottas, currently George Russell. So there's just so many great drivers that have driven for Williams F1 over the years that, man, it's just really sad to see Sir Frank go. And as we know, we call him Sir Frank because he was knighted. So just think about that. He was knighted. This guy was never a driver in Formula One. He was a team owner and a principal, and he helped develop the cars, and he helped develop some of the best cars in the early years of Formula One, and that's what made his team so good and so reliable every year. This guy was a genius for Formula One, an absolute legend that we will certainly miss. I mean, I know it was sad when Williams, the family, said that they were going to sell the team to the American, stock team here in America, Doralton Capital, who is the current owners of Williams. And they did a good job of actually, saying thanks for Sir Frank for what he's done for their team and just highlighting his life and what he's done for Formula One. So I do think the current owners did a great job with that. But it's just curious to see if it could have stayed in the family. I personally think that Claire Williams did a great job running the Williams F1 team, but I think there possibly could have been some other family members that maybe would have wanted to take over, or I don't know. But they decided to sell the team last year, and that was the first time that we haven't seen Sir Frank on the grid. And maybe the family knew a lot more than we did going forward, and they've seen this coming. But unfortunate that the Williams family is no longer on the grid, but the Williams name still is, and hopefully it will live on forever as one of the greatest Williams F1 teams. Or I should say, as one of the greatest F1 teams. But really, cheers to Sir Frank Williams and rest in peace, sir. Let's move on to topic number 2. Sad topic for F1, but let's jump into a much better topic, a much more livelier topic here. And that's the Grand Prix that we're heading into this weekend. So, hey, if you're new here, give us a subscribe and give us a like if you want to jump in to get some of this more F1 content from the United States. Tonight's the coach's special. We're missing out on the shot caller, Pat Flaherty, but he will be back next week. But let's talk about the Jeddah Grand Prix, or the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, that we're all waiting for, coming up this Friday with the first practices starting. Man, I'll tell you what, I've got mixed reviews on this track. And I've driven it on the simulator. It is an extremely fast circuit, really fun to drive, some great hairpins. But my real question is it still going to provide great racing in close wheel-to-wheel racing? With this being a brand new track, those are a lot of questions that are going to be up. Just like even for the last Grand Prix in Qatar, many questions going into what kind of race we were going to get. And guess what? In Qatar, we got an exciting race, a great racetrack that all the drivers enjoyed racing on and enjoyed driving. Fernando Alonso specifically saying he could have driven that track all night. So we're hoping going into Jeddah that we're going to get something like that as well. And, have that first time magic with a first time Grand Prix on a brand new track. Hopefully we will get some amazing racing. And I'll tell you what, it sets up to be a spicy fight between Red Bull and Mercedes, and between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. And I'll tell you what, the one thing, and I was just talking with producer Ben before the show, they're saying that this lap around Jeddah will be 79% full throttle. So almost for 80% of the time around this track, you will have the accelerator pinned to the floor and be looking to go all out, and maybe even in DRS range at that point. So we are going to see a fast racetrack, and hopefully it's going to present some fast, fun, exciting racing, wheel to wheel, like we said. But I quickly want to bring up how Mercedes has been saying they are bringing back their spicy engine for Lewis Hamilton. And you bring back a spicy engine that's turned up to max power, when it's got fresh life. I believe it's only ran in the Brazilian Grand Prix, so it's only had one race that it's really run in. So we're bringing in a brand new engine, pretty much turned up to the max. Spicy engine, in the words of Toto Wolff, I should say, a spicy engine on a track that is full out, flat out for 79 to 80%. So I'm expecting Mercedes to have a really good showing here, especially Lewis Hamilton, who always seems to turn up and be brilliant on brand new tracks. We obviously know he's the one driver in Formula One history that has won at 30 different tracks. So that's an amazing feat, honestly. So we're looking to see if we can make that 31 with Lewis Hamilton this weekend going into the Jeddah Grand Prix. But I'll tell you what, watch out for his teammate, Valtteri Bottas, who always comes out, especially on Friday, and seems to find his form quickly on new tracks as well. So I'm looking to see a great weekend out of Mercedes-Benz. But I'll tell you what, I still give a nod to Max Verstappen. We know he's going to be there in the title fight. He's going to be there right away and be looking to bring the fight to Lewis Hamilton. Here's my prediction of the Grand Prix. I really do think track position is going to come in huge, as it does at most Grand Prix, but I think even bigger here with their first time at this Grand Prix. And like I said, with laps that are 80% flat out, qualifying is going to be huge, setting up the grid So let's see what happens. But this is going to be hopefully an exciting Grand Prix at a brand new track in a brand new country. I think most of us are really looking forward to seeing what can happen at the Jeddah Grand Prix this weekend. Let's move on to topic number three. Sorry about that. Thrown off. Topic number 3. The shot caller is out tonight. And so I'm the shot caller tonight, Pat Flaherty. What you think about that? I'm the coach and the shot caller, as it should be. But Pat will be back with us next week. But hey, if you want, call into the show, leave us a voicemail, or join into any of these topics live with us, or join in the live chat, and producer Ben will throw that up so we can see that anytime someone chimes in. But let's jump into topic number 3 tonight. Producer Ben, you want to slide that down to topic number 3 as well? Thank you, sir. Producer Ben, I want to give a shout out to him, always doing his magic from behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz, just helping us out, doing everything on the show, making it easy for me and Pat. All we do is show up and talk about sports. So we love you, Producer Ben. Keep it up. But topic number 3 tonight, Ferrari is back. And I'm telling you, I'm declaring it right now. Ferrari is back. They're back in the big 3 of Formula One, back where they belong. And that's up there with Mercedes-Benz and Red Bull. And I'm telling you what, in 2022, I'm predicting a Ferrari car with, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz driving them even more forward. I think they're going to be up there fighting for Grand Prix wins in 2022. But down the stretch here in 2021, they have been one of the strongest teams on the grid, showing up weekly. Ever since they brought their engine upgrade, I believe it was about 5 or 6 Grand Prix ago, they have just been dominating the midfield per se and driving themselves out of the midfield and back to the front. In an epic battle for third in the constructors with McLaren throughout this season, Ferrari has just been throwing everything at McLaren, including on the track last weekend when Matteo Binotto and Danny Ricciardo had it out a little bit on the pre-race walk, the track walk, which was absolutely hilarious to see. Love seeing that, that fun, that making Formula One entertaining and having fun with it. I'm glad to see 2 teams still having fun with each other. And that's another thing too. Matteo Binotto, I've got to give a nod to him, man, as the team principal. I think he's got to be the number 1 guy for why they have driven themselves back to the front here. He is keeping his team on point in the factory, at the racetrack, in the car. He is keeping them all on point. He's keeping his drivers together, focused. I think they've got a young champion in the waiting with Charles Leclerc, honestly. And I'm not a huge Carlos Sainz fan, but I will say this, that I do think Carlos Sainz has been doing a great job at Ferrari, a better job than he did at McLaren. And I think that's a huge reason why Ferrari's even coming back, the pairing of those two. The young champion in the waiting with Charles Leclerc that everybody loves. I personally think everyone loves. And then Carlos Sainz coming in and doing a great job. And if you look at them in the points, they're pretty much right with each other in points. So you can't say that really one's done a better job than the other at this point. But them as collectively as a team, they have really done a great job to get themselves past McLaren over these past Grand Prix. And like I said, Ferrari's back, man. Ferrari is back, baby. And I think all us Formula One fans are enjoying seeing it. We all love it. Obviously, Ferrari has the most history that is currently on the grid out of teams, along with Williams, who we were just talking about. The history is deep and it is rich in Formula One when we're talking about those 2 teams. Ferrari is one of the few original teams that is still on the grid. So they've been on the grid from start to finish. And it's good to see them back where they belong in the big 3, fighting with Mercedes and Red Bull. And like I said, over these last couple Grand Prix, we'll see what they can do at Jeddah, the brand new track, and we can see what they do at Saudi Arabia with a brand new track layout there as well. So I think they're going to bring the fight, especially to McLaren, to shore up third in the constructors. But you might even see them put up a fight, especially in qualifying at Jeddah or Saudi Arabia, Jeddah or Abu Dhabi at the end of the year, to put themselves in the mix here at the end and send a strong message that they're going to be in the mix in 2022. And that's my prediction, honestly. I really feel like Ferrari is going to be back up fighting for wins in 2022. And once again, I've got to give a nod to the man there with the curly hair and the glasses. Matteo Binotto, the team principal, I really do think this is the main guy that deserves credit for Ferrari being back in the top three, along with obviously the two drivers as well. But let's move on to topic number 4 tonight. Join in tonight, man. We need somebody to join in. Give us a call here or join in the live chat and let us know why we're doing here on the Coach's Special. Producer Ben might call in at some point when he sees a spicy topic. But let's talk about Lionel Messi, honestly. Lionel Messi winning his 7th Ballon d'Or, which we all know goes to the best player in international soccer or international football, however you want to say it, in the world. And we're not just talking about in one league. We're talking about all the leagues. We're talking about in the world. And obviously, over the last few years, it's mainly been coming down to Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. I know De Bruyne has been making a run in there, one of the great players out of the Netherlands. But I mean, I'll tell you what, Lionel Messi is still arguably the greatest player of all time, up there with Cristiano Ronaldo, Pele, and some other greats. But Lionel Messi really putting a stamp on it with this 7th Ballon d'Or, a record. So no other player in the history of the game has won 7. You can basically call him the Lewis Hamilton of international soccer right now, winning 7 world titles pretty much. Lewis Hamilton trying to track down his 8th, and it'll be curious to see if Lionel Messi, with still plenty of years left in the tank, if he can get 8 or 9 or maybe even 10. That's a real big goal, I'm sure, that he's trying to get out there. And obviously, he's trying to get some wins with his new team, PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. But I'll tell you what, I'm a big Cristiano Ronaldo fan. I think Ronaldo's still not done. I would want to see Ronaldo be in the fight for this award again next year, and I expect him to be. So don't think that it's just going to be Messi just chalking up another one and chalking up number 8. Expect Cristiano Ronaldo to be out there and a couple of other great players too that I'm sure are going to have a standout year. But Lionel Messi, man, has just been absolutely doing amazing. And just quickly to tie into Formula One, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon were on hand at the Ballon d'Or to hand over the trophy to Lionel Messi, and they came out with helmets on. So any of you Formula One fans, I'm sure, loved seeing that, and it was amazing to see. And they gave a big nod out to Messi. And as you can see, Cristiano Ronaldo giving a nod to Messi too, saying, facto, as he's one of the best players in the world. And I think they both know it. It's one of those things where, greatness acknowledges greatness. And you've got the 2 best players in the world. And in my opinion, arguably 2 of the best players in the history of the game, still playing at a high level, playing against each other at times, but still having that respect there and giving the nod. Once again, if I can compare it to a Formula One, I've got to compare it to the battle we've seen most recently between Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. Like 2 of the greatest of all time. Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion now. Sebastian Vettel, a 4-time world champion. And at the time, they were just battling it out. And I think this is the same thing, Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo battling it out each year to see who is going to be the best player at the end of the year. Whether it's goal scoring or whether it's winning the Champions League, these guys are always doing it all. They're 2 of the greatest players in the game, and I certainly enjoy watching them. But let's move on tonight to topic number 5. Parade Patrol, and this is a great topic. I absolutely love this. I'm not sure if producer Ben's going to actually find any footage of it. I should have sent it to you before the match here. So. Yeah, he said he's going to try to find it. I appreciate you, producer Ben. I should have sent you some footage before the show on that. But this is Parade Patrol. For any of you guys know that obviously the Atlanta Braves won the World Series, right? And then like all teams, when they win the world title, they're going to have a parade, a world championship parade. And they had a great one. And they had, I believe, they didn't have the duck boats like we have here in Boston, but I believe they had some awesome trolley cars that they were rolling out there. But guess what? One of the Braves pitchers decided he wanted to join in more on the fun and join in more with the fans. So he jumped off the trolley and he went out there and he grabbed himself a brew and he was having a good time with the fans. And he was running alongside the trolleys and the cops mistook him for just a regular Joe, a regular fan. and they grabbed him up. They grabbed him up. Here's the footage. Thank you, producer Ben. He found it. They grabbed him up, and they thought they were going to try to, like, hey, get back over the edge, buddy. You don't belong here. And he's like, man, like, what do I got to do? Bust out my ring to show you I'm actually a world champion at this point. I'm on the team. This is my own jersey that I'm wearing. And it quickly took it on. You know, if the video goes on, a couple of other officers step in, and I believe a team official too, and says, this guy's good, man. He's part of the team. So I just thought it was absolutely funny. I think this is the first time I've ever seen this happen in a world championship parade. I'm sure the cop feels a little foolish, but I'm going to give him a nod, honestly, for doing a great job protecting the players and protecting the locals around there, especially in this time of day that we are in, this time of terror that we live in here in 2021. I think the officer did a great job looking to protect people. And like I said, protect the players. He takes his job serious, and I appreciate that. But man, this is hilarious. Honestly, it's hilarious. You've never seen that happen. I'd really question anybody to pull up any other time you've seen this happen in a world championship parade. Here in Boston, we've been in a lot of championship parades, and I'm not just trying to throw that around here to throw Atlanta under the bus, but we've been in a lot of championship parades. I've seen Gronk catching beers and drinking them. You know, we've had other players, I believe, that have gotten off the duck boats and gotten down. And so this has never happened before. And I know Gronk specifically, Rob Gronkowski had gotten off the duck boat and he was wearing a Boston PD jumper. And maybe that's the only reason why they didn't get him mixed up, but also maybe because Rob Gronkowski's 6'8" and like 280 and is one of the best tight ends in the world. And this guy's a pitcher, and maybe not everybody knows him. But if you're a baseball fan, I'm sure you know him. So that's not a knock to you baseball fans. But I'm telling you, great absolute topic here. He did get to continue on with the parade, so don't worry about that. And as you see, he's got himself a brew in his right hand, so I'm sure he swigged that brew after that, got back on the parade, and enjoyed the rest of the championship festivities. But I'll tell you what, Parade Patrol, cheers to the officer for taking his job serious. We appreciate all law enforcement here on Comeback Sports. Let's move on to topic number 6. Don't mind me as I get a swig here, but we're going to jump into some college football topics tonight. The next 3 are college football, so if you're a college football fan, give us a subscribe here and give us a like here. And the big news is obviously Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma, jumping on a jet and flying out to Southern California to be the next head coach at the USC. I was going to say United States. USC, the University of Southern California. But honestly, I think this is a big deal. This is a big deal across the board for, first off, college football. He's one of the best young coaches in the game right now. His record at Oklahoma has been stellar over the last 5 years, and he's coached some of the best quarterbacks over the last 5 years, namely Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, a couple other guys I know that I'm missing out on here. So, Kyler Murray. I don't know. How can I forget Kyler Murray, who's, in my opinion, the best out of all 3 of those quarterbacks? This guy's been their QB guru right now. So it was easily that most universities were really going to try to track down Lincoln Riley and pay him a boatload of money. And with the University of Southern California looking for a head coach over these last few months, they backed up the Brinks truck and they said, hey, we're going to get you all the recruits you need and anything you want. And I got to say, this is the right idea. I got to say, this is the right move for Lincoln Riley, leaving an Oklahoma team that is now moving over to the SEC, a much stronger division where it's going to be a lot harder to recruit. It's going to be a lot harder to win games. Guess what? USC is not in the SEC. They don't have to worry about that at all. I think that he can build himself a powerhouse here on the West Coast at USC, recruiting and stealing recruits from the likes of Oregon, who has been one of the powerhouses of the West Coast, or also Stanford as well. And clearly, they're going to out-recruit the team across the stadium, pretty much. I like to call them the team across the stadium because it's UCLA in the same city, recruiting pretty much the same athletes. You know, it's really a question there. Would you rather go to UCLA or would you rather go to USC? For me, easy decision. You're going to be a Trojan. Look at the history there. just going back to their team with Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, with Pete Carroll there running that program. USC was dominant for, I want to say, a good decade. I really feel like now, under the tutelage of a great young coach like Lincoln Riley that can develop quarterbacks, can recruit well, that USC is going to be back, baby. USC is going to be back. And I think all the Southern California fans will love hearing that. They're going to be back. And over these next few years, they are going to be a powerhouse. And I'll tell you what, maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, they'll have themselves in the college playoffs as well. That's my prediction, because I really feel like he is going to do a great job recruiting there. He already got a 5-star recruit to decommit from Oklahoma and commit to USC. So it kind of just proves that a lot of times these players are not going to the university per se. They're looking at the coach. They're looking at the program. They're looking at who they're going to be with for the next 4 years and how they're going to get treated per se. And coaches, we're supposed to be kind of like an extended parent, especially when it comes to high school and college. And so a lot of these players are thinking, I don't want to see who the next coach at Oklahoma is going to be. I was planning on playing for Lincoln Riley, whether he's at USC or whether he's at Toledo or Boston College or wherever it may be. That's where I wanted to go. So I think we're going to see a lot more recruits turning the table from Oklahoma to go to USC and join their coach, Lincoln Riley. But man, I think great job by USC getting one of the best young coaches in the game. And like I said, I think this is changing the game. You're seeing a lot of coaches just bail out and go to better programs. And in the end, they have to do what's best for them as well, what's best for their family. So you can't really blame these coaches when they get a great opportunity. You have to do what's best for yourself and what's best for your family. That doesn't mean that they're still not going to do what's best for their players and that they don't care for their players. I still believe that they do. I just do think that this is the right move for Lincoln Riley and for his family, and the right move for USC. Let's move on to topic number 7. Topic number 7 is another one, and honestly, I think this is a bigger shocker in my opinion. And maybe someone can join in the live chat and maybe, chime in and let me know what you think about these moves here by Lincoln Riley to USC, and now Brian Kelly from Notre Dame to LSU. Just broke over the last, I believe, 48 hours that Brian Kelly is saying see you later to Notre Dame football and is the new head coach of LSU football. Man, big news, honestly. Big shock to me that he was willing to leave Notre Dame, a school with, we know, such a rich history in football. They don't even have to win, and they can still recruit well because people want to go and play in that gold helmet, go to Notre Dame, go to South Bend, and enjoy the rich history there, kind of have a Rudy-like moment per se. If you haven't seen the movie Rudy, you should just leave this show, by the way, at this point. And you should also go watch the movie Rudy, because if you haven't, I'm really disappointed in you. But like I said, that's what Notre Dame's famous for, that gold dome, that gold helmet, and a rich history of football. And Brian Kelly has just said, I'm out of here. I'm going to leave that behind, and I'm going to LSU, and I'm going to see what we can do there. And guess what? LSU's got a rich history as well. And most recently, they've been better than Notre Dame, and they've recruited better than Notre Dame. They've been in the mix for the college championship. I believe Notre Dame's only been up there once or twice over the last 10 years, where LSU, I believe, has been up there 3 or 4 times over the last 10 years, having a chance to be in the college playoff, having a chance to go and win the bowl, the big game, the national championship. And so I do believe that Brian Kelly just believes that he can recruit better at LSU, a team that we all know is in the SEC, the powerhouse conference of college football. When we're talking about Big 5 football, the SEC is the king of Big 5 football. And LSU has been great in the SEC over these last few years. So I really do think that Brian Kelly believes that he can recruit and bring LSU back to the forefront. And he's still got to battle the likes of, obviously, Georgia, who is dominating currently this season, and still Alabama, who just seems to reload and get the best recruiting class year after year after year. So I've still got to give the nod to Nick Saban in the SEC right now, but Kirby Smart obviously doing an amazing job over at Georgia right now, and we're going to see those two face off in the SEC championship game this weekend, which is going to be amazing. But I'll tell you what, LSU doing a good job once again, going out and getting a great coach to fill their program and to fill that vacancy of the head coaching job. And I do think Brian Kelly is going to bring this team back to notoriety. And I do think he's going to get some recruits. And it's curious to see, just like with Lincoln Riley, how we had some recruits decommit from Oklahoma and move right over directly to USC. Are we going to see some recruits that are just going to say, I'm going to be out of here, Notre Dame. I'm going to decommit from Notre Dame and I'm going to recommit to LSU. So I think that's going to be the news that we have to watch here over the next 72 hours is the player movement and the player portal, which right now the player portal is just blowing up. And we call that the player portal is the transfer portal for anybody that doesn't know. Players looking to transfer from one school to another. And it's blowing up right now. And it's mainly because of these coaching moves across the board, with these two being the biggest of them all. And like I said, big shock to me that Brian Kelly was willing to leave Notre Dame behind, but he did. Really curious to see what he can do at LSU. Let's move on to topic number 8. We're sticking with college football, and boy, we are absolutely flying through the coaches special here tonight. Chime in if you want in the live chat before it's quickly over, or hey, give us a call, leave us a voicemail for when Pat the Shot Caller Flaherty returns next week, and we'll have ourselves our normal show with, 2 hosts going over 10 topics. But this week, you got the coaches special, and we're just flying through our 10 topics here. But we're sticking with college football, and I love it here. And we're sticking in the SEC as well, with Bama with the 4 overtime win over the Auburn Tigers this past weekend. Obviously, that's their nemesis. I mean, when you think of the state of Alabama, you think of Alabama Crimson Tide first. Then you think of the Auburn Tigers War Eagle right after that. And you think of this match, the Iron Bowl. It's a match and it's a game that is one of the best rivalries in college football. Happens every year. And you get some of the best games of the year. I mean, a couple years ago, when Auburn returned the field goal for a touchdown to win the game, Auburn has seemed to sneak out a few wins here over the last few years, just late in the game over Alabama. And I'm sure Nick Saban was not liking that, has made some adjustments. And with the young, talented quarterback, the freshman Bryce Young this year, absolutely tearing it up. They came into this game ready to play. Had a little bit of a sluggish start, I will say that. And Auburn came out just swinging right away. But then Alabama quickly got into a rhythm led by, like I said, Bryce Young and the great coaching staff that they have there. And they got on fire towards the end of the game, closed the game out, and won the game in 4 overtimes. It was honestly one of the most exciting games I've seen this year in college football. Generally, you're not going to see a game in college football go to 4 overtimes, and this one did. You really did not know who was going to win it. Was Auburn going to sneak out that last-second win, once again, that they've been pulling over Alabama? Or was Alabama going to keep their championship hopes alive by getting the W? And they did. Just quickly, as a coach, we always say, great teams find a way to win. And I believe this Alabama team is a great team, and they just did it. They found a way to pull out a win in the last second and keep their hopes alive in the college football playoffs. I really do believe, had they had lost that game to Auburn, that they would have dropped out of the top 4 easily and probably would have dropped out of the top 6. And then at that point, with just a few games left, it'd really be hard to get back into the top 4 and change voters' minds to get yourself into the college football playoff. So I really feel, especially when, like I said, we were just talking about it this weekend upcoming, they've got to face the number 1 team in the country, Georgia, in the SEC championship game. So they had to win this game at Auburn, against Auburn, I should say, in 4 overtimes to keep their championship hopes alive. Because if they lose to Georgia, then they'd have a three losses. You're automatically out of contention at that point. They keep their hopes alive that I believe still, even if they lose to a number 1 ranked Georgia in the SEC championship game, as long as they make it a great game, competitive game, and they keep it close, I still think that Alabama will be in the top 4 and will be in the college football playoff. And I believe they belong in there. I also quickly just believe that Cincinnati belongs in there. A lot of people having conversation of whether they belong in the top 4. They've had such a great season led by that coaching staff over there. Desmond Ridder, the quarterback, has been doing an amazing job. They belong in the top 4. They belong in the college football playoffs. And the question is, who else is going to be in there with them? Definitely Georgia. definitely Cincinnati. Is Alabama going to stay in there? I think they will, even if they lose to Georgia in that SEC championship. If they win, they're definitely going to be in that top four. And then it's just who's going to be that last team in there to make the college football and to round it out, the college football playoffs. But hey, like I said, this game was just absolutely exciting, start to finish. But a great nod to Alabama for getting the win in 4 overtimes, and especially Bryce Young playing under tremendous pressure as a freshman quarterback. Been receiving a lot of guff, and the kid's having an amazing season. So I really think you Alabama fans need to back off the kid because he's doing a great job, and he was the one that got you this win. So acknowledge greatness going forward, no matter what happens in this SEC championship game. Great job by Bryce Young and Alabama pulling out the win. Let's move on to topic number 9. Stealing a drink. Producer Ben, we're crushing it, my friend. Once again, give a nod to producer Ben behind the scenes, just absolutely, dictating the show like a point guard, just dishing out the passing, and I'm just finishing. Fullback, tailback. Leading the way, scoring touchdowns. That's all we're doing here. But let's move on to topic number 9. That's a little inside joke for all you viewers. I know we'll have to explain that to you later, but we will. Let's move on to topic number 9. I'm waiting for someone to jump in the live chat, producer Ben. If that ever comes up, you throw it up immediately. Topic number 9, defensive Draymond. Draymond Green, very vocal this week saying, man, I want to see some more defensive highlights. All we see is guys scoring the ball and offense. I want to see some defensive highlights. And obviously, this is coming from a former defensive player of the year and one of the best defensive players in the game of basketball currently. So I get it. And I'm with him, honestly. And I was just saying even today, I'm a basketball coach. In football, I'm an offensive guy. Absolutely love football. In basketball, I'm a defensive coach. I really believe that defense can dictate a lot of things in the game of basketball. And I think Draymond Green believes the same thing. And I want to see some more defensive highlights with Draymond. I want to see some blocks. I want to see some steals. I want to see some great defensive rotation and team defense. So I'm with him. All we see is dunks and 3-pointers and fancy passes at this point. ESPN, Sports Center, whoever's doing the highlights out here, NBA Central, we want to see some more defensive highlights and specifically of Draymond Green. Because he's the man, honestly. I love Draymond Green, and I love him for a few reasons. Obviously, like I said, one of the best defensive basketball players in the game right now, but don't knock his offensive game, too. Got a great mid-range game. And, his basketball knowledge is it goes unnoticed. He's one of the smartest players on the team. You can't say that they just won all those titles because of Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or even Kevin Durant. Draymond Green was a huge part of all those championship winning teams playing defense. Arguably, he was playing the 4 and the 5. He defensively shut down a few centers in the playoffs so they could win those titles. So I love Draymond Green. And then I love that he's vocal. I love that he's willing to speak. He leaves it all on the heart, leaves it out on the court, and tells it like it is when it comes to the interviews. I think if I was an NBA player or even a professional athlete, that's certainly how I would be. You just get the flat-out truth, the blunt honesty, and take it for what it is. And he's not the only player that does that. So I really appreciate when you get that from a professional athlete. It just, to me, makes them a little bit more human and shows that, we're all the same. We're all human. Even though they're professional athletes, they're just like us. They have emotions. They can get upset. They can get happy. They can ride the highs. They can ride the lows. So I just really love hearing what Draymond Green has to say on a weekly basis. Honestly, I wish he would talk more. I wish he'd have like a podcast or something like that, because I think he has a lot of great things to say. But specifically on this topic, I've got to agree with him. I want to see some more defensive highlights across the board and get some more acknowledgement for great defensive play. Cheers to Draymond Green for being the defensive player of the year in the past. And I think he could be again maybe this year coming up forward. But let's get some more defensive highlights there. We want some more. Let's move on to topic number 10. Man, we are quickly closing out the show. Topic number 10 tonight is Evander Kane, man, getting released by the Sharks. They just didn't play around, honestly. This is big news. Evander Kane is no slouch in the game of hockey and in the NHL. I think he's a really good player. I think he can provide a lot of teams with some great minutes. San Jose said, see you later, waved him just the other day after he returned from his 21-day suspension for providing a fake vaccination card. I just want to give you a little bit of time to think about that. For providing a fake vaccination card. I really do want to give the nod to the San Jose Sharks for just saying we don't play around at this point. You really, put our team under pressure by doing that, by providing fake documents. You put the team under pressure. You could have got your teammate sick because he's unvaccinated, clearly. And so this is a big deal, man. He's basically now the Kyrie Irving of the NHL at this point, providing fake documentation. I'm not saying that Kyrie Irving did that, but we all know what Kyrie Irving's stance is on the vaccination and how he's pretty much going to sit out the season is what it looks like at this point. I don't even think the Nets need him at this point. It looks like, James Harden and Kevin Durant looking amazing the other night together. But Evander Kane, man, I don't know. I've just really got to question your leadership as a player and as a leader of any team at this point going forward. When you do something like that, clearly a very selfish move, providing fake documentation that he's vaccinated when he's clearly not vaccinated. And you got to put him up there with, I guess, Aaron Rodgers as well, saying that he was immunized when he clearly was not. So I just really wish some of these professional athletes would come out and be honest. Obviously, they're role models. They don't like to think that they are, but they are no matter what they think or say. People are looking at them and following their lead sometimes. So this is not a good look by Evander Kane. I do think that the San Jose Sharks did a great job of leading the way in public safety and public health and public awareness to say we're not going to do that. That's not what our organization is standing by, and we don't stand by this player anymore. He was suspended 21 days, and then when he came back from his suspension, we gave him his walking papers. So it's clear to see. I do think he will still sign on with a new team, but when will that happen? I do not know. Will it be this season? Who knows? But I don't know. I would recommend for him to get vaccinated if he's looking to get back on a team as fast as possible and prove that he's willing to lead by example. So I don't know. I think this is just a big story, but I do want to give the nod to the San Jose Sharks for doing the right thing and leading in the public health department. But hey, that's 10 topics here tonight. Producer Ben, we crushed it. 10 topics down the pipe here at Comeback Sports. And honestly, it was a fun show. I had fun. We covered some really good topics. Like I said, join back in weekly here on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Give us a like. Pat, the shot caller Flaherty, was out tonight, but he will be back next week to cover our 10 topics and to lead the show as he does. He's the great host. I'm just a sports analysis, a sports guy. Pat, the shot caller Flaherty, is the real driving force of this show, along with producer Ben. And I just chip in here. But we make a great team. And like I said, come back and join us weekly, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern on Comeback Sports. In my opinion, the greatest sports opinionated show on the net right now, currently running. So, hey, give us a follow on Twitter. Both of our names there at the bottom of the screen there. If you want to give me or Pat Flaherty a follow on Twitter. Or, hey, give us a call in, subscribe, give us a like. Tune in. We really want to hear your opinion, whether it's on a topic that we're currently talking on the show, or maybe a topic that you want us to expand on further, or brand new topic. Anything you want to talk about here on Comeback Sports, as long as it's sports related, we're here to talk about it on a weekly basis. But hey, we did it again. We continue hammering out shows on a weekly basis. Hopefully you'll come back and join us next week on Comeback Sports. Everybody have a good night and stay safe out there.